This video is brought to you by Your Company Mobiles. For all of your business, landline and mobile phone requirements, check them out at yourcompanymobiles.com. What's up YouTube, Adam here. Now it is that time again, time for a brand new setup tour, and I'm going to bring it to you right now inside this video. I'm going to go in depth into almost everything that I've got inside my home office here. Now if you want details on any one of these specific items, I'm going to leave places in the video description, not only where you can buy it, but also of a video if I've got one of that particular product as well. So please, if you want to ask a question, check out the video description before asking it, because the most of the questions can be answered inside that video description. Now to start off with here, you can see this is my main focus of the room. This is a custom built desk, and again, like I just said, there is a video on the complete build process of this desk, so please do check out that video description. Now this particular one I designed and had made myself, and the actual monitors on the desk itself are 27-inch monitors. The bottom three are three 27-inch Apple Cinema displays, so they've got a high resolution of 1440p, and then the top displays are three Dell displays. Now another common question I get is, how can I actually spread these wallpapers right the way across all of my screens? Well, surprise, surprise, yet again, there is a link down in the video description of a video that I've made for that particular subject. Now the desk itself has held up very, very well. It's about a year old now, and it's really worked absolutely perfectly. All of the actual screens themselves are wall mounted, so there's no cables or ties or anything like that. All of the cables are hidden and run right down the back of the unit and into the privacy area that you can see down below. Now next up, and this thing I get asked the most ridiculous amount of questions on, and that is my chair. Now this particular one is called a Storm Mesh executive chair. It's actually quite difficult to find outside of the UK. I'm not even sure if it is even available outside of the UK, but for those of you that are inside the UK, you are in luck. There is now a ability to purchase this straight from Amazon, and again, not only will I leave my review video for this chair, but also the Amazon link as well down in that video description. Now this chair I think looks absolutely fantastic. It's very ergonomic, very comfortable, and it really is an absolute joy to use. Now when you're sitting and working from home out of this chair and you're really in it for a very, very long period of time, it's obviously important to have a nice, comfortable, ergonomic chair, and this one does the job perfectly well. Now this is by no means the most expensive chair, and it's definitely not the cheapest one either, but it really is a great addition to any home office. Now you can actually adjust this in a whole bunch of different ways, from lumbar support to the armrests to the actual headrest itself, very, very simply. So overall, been very, very impressed with that particular chair. Now on top of the desk itself, this is my interface options, and I usually go with this particular setup. So on the left hand side I have the Magic Trackpad from Apple. In the middle I've got the solar power keyboard from Logitech, the K750, and then on the right hand side I have the Just Mobile Alu Pad for a mouse mat, and then I also use the Magic Mouse, and I'm currently trying out the Cyborg Rat9 as well. Now in the middle you can see that I've also got some more options in here. On the right hand side we have my volume and turn off and on power control for my Bose Companion 5 speakers. In the middle we've got a Zoom microphone, a compact flash card reader underneath, and then a docking station for my iPhone or iPod on the left hand side. Now I really like this setup. You've got the ability to have a whole bunch of flexibility with the Magic Trackpad on the left that I use with my left hand obviously, and then like I say, I'm testing out this new Cyborg Rat9 mouse at the moment to see if it will potentially take the place of my Apple Magic Mouse. The AluPad mouse pad again is quite an expensive piece of kit, but does do the job perfectly, because the Apple Magic Mouse doesn't work on this particular surface that my desk is made out of, so it really is needed in order to be able to even use the mouse in any way whatsoever. Now, just to the right of that, you can see just coming into the picture now is my remote control for all of my lighting in my room. Now, this is not the coloured lights around my desk. This is the actual wall lights, the fluorescent tubes, the roof lights all around the room that I use for lighting in my videos. Now, you can pick this up from Amazon at a very, very cheap price, around £10 in the UK or about $15 in the US, and it just gives you the ability to plug a socket into the wall and then control it using this particular remote control. Very, very useful for recording your videos and turning your lighting on and off without having to go up and start hunting around for switches. Now, over on the left hand side, we've got the 2013 iPad Air. This is the 128GB white version, and in addition to that, just behind it, we've got my little Android dolly there sitting just behind, and then again in the corner you can see the Bose Companion 5 speaker. Now, I've got these little trays here that I use, and the idea is that you can actually pull out charging cables and various other bits and pieces and just leave them hanging out of the desk like that without having to have the drawer fully open and have all of the contents exposed to you. Now, in addition to the actual lighting that goes around the room itself, I've also got some coloured lighting which goes around the desk. Now, Philips do their Hue version, which is much more expensive than this, but this version works perfectly well, has about 20 odd colours, a whole bunch of different patterns that you can actually use as well, and yet again you can pick this up for about £20-30 or about $20-30 in the US. Now, as you can see, in addition to that, on the other side of the desk, I've got another one of these drawers, and this particular one, I have the power cable for my MacBook Pro. That is the 2013 top spec MacBook Pro Retina. And I also have a USB female cable, so I can just plug in any kind of USB. Now, just to show you the effect of the actual lighting itself, it's not the easiest thing to capture on camera, but the screens themselves look overexposed for me to be able to actually capture the light. But you can see it works extremely well, lights up a whole bunch of the room, and mine just run all around the back of the monitors in an LED strip. They come with an adhesive label on the back of them, so they're very easy to stick wherever you want, and these look really nice regardless of what monitors you've got, or you can even put these behind your TV. There's even a little modular music bit for it which you can plug in, which gives you the ability to have it time to music. Now, in here we've got an Italian leather chair with a whole bunch of my cushions on. Now, these particular cushions came from all over the place. People like Etsy, Amazon, and also eBay. If you search around, you can find them. Now, next up here, we have my little Power Mac G5 table. I made this myself. You just buy some empty cases for some Power Macs, put a bit of glass on top with some rubber mounts, and you get yourself a nice little Power Mac G5 coffee table. On top of there as well, we had the latest MacBook Air and also the latest iPad mini with Retina display, along with my Xbox controllers. Now, here you can see my Apple clock, and this is actually made from the base of an iMac G4. It's a very beautiful thing, very easy to make. If you get yourself a iMac G4 and take the base off, one like you can see here in the right hand corner, buy a little electronic clock module, drill a hole, and bang, you've got yourself a nice Apple clock. And I think it looks very attractive there on the wall. Now, you can see some of my posters, and I also made on the left hand side there a iMac mirror that we'll come back to a little bit later on. I am a huge Gooner. For those of you that aren't in the UK, that is a football team. I'm a huge Arsenal supporter, and here are some of my favourite players back in the days when we actually had a decent team. Now, just above that, I've also got some little teacup mats here, and you can put your drinks on these, and they're just a whole bunch of the old icons from previous versions of iOS. And again, I think it's just a nice little kind of homely touch, makes things look quite nice. And if you want to use them, you obviously can, stop you getting stains and whatnot on any of your nice bits of furniture. Now, over in this corner, I've got a little cabinet from IKEA. Not expensive at all. You can pick this up fairly cheap. And then on top of that, I've got some of my family pictures, myself and my fiance, and also pictures of my son as well. On top there, I've got a couple of Oppo N1s. We've got the Cyanogen mod version and also the native Color OS version. On the wall, you can see my Steve Jobs and Bill Gates signed picture as well. And then if we take a closer look inside the drawers themselves, I just really use this for kind of keeping a whole bunch of little accessories. Now in here I've got a whole collection of some of the phones. Yes, I do review these, that's the reason I've got them, but I am a bit of a hoarder and I do like to flick between phones quite often, hence the reason that I've got so many. A few more in here as well, and some of my watches and rings and other bits and pieces in that drawer as well. And then as we work our way down, some more practical uses. So in here I've got all of my audio equipment for my camera, got a Zoom H6 there in the black box, and then I've also got the Sony wireless microphone as well in there to be able to use a wireless lapel microphone. In the next drawer down, you can see I've got a whole bunch of photography and videography stuff in there, little dolly, some small tripods, and also a follow focus. This drawer really is just full of absolute junk and bits and pieces that I use around the house. And then the last drawer is basically as far as I go with DIY, and it's just got a whole bunch of my little tools in, screwdrivers and various other bits and pieces as well. So I think this is actually quite a decent cabinet from IKEA. I'm not the biggest fan of their furniture, but this particular one is made reasonably well. And like I say, it comes in at a very, very good price. Now, just next to that, I've got a microphone stand. And then on top of that, I have a Sennheiser shotgun microphone. You can pick this up from pretty much anywhere. And again, I'll leave links to all of this down in the video description. So be sure to check that out. Now next up I've got some shelves here on the wall, and this is really just to put some little bits and pieces. You can see all of my bobbleheads and Steve Jobs characters as well. We've also got up there, we've got Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. We've also got the guy from Californication, we've got Dexter, and then of course Walter White there in the middle. Some aftershaves and various other bits and pieces that I like myself. Now these shelves again come from IKEA, very, very cheap floating shelves that you just attach to the wall, and I think they make a nice aesthetic addition to any room. Now over here on the right hand side I've got some guitars. I've got a small guitar there for my son, and then I've got a normal guitar there in the middle, and then over on the right hand side is my Fender bass guitar. Now this particular one I've had for about 10 years, and it's quite a rare one, made in a very specific country that some of the others aren't. I believe it's Japan, and this really is just kind of for aesthetics, for hanging them up on the wall. I think they look quite nice sitting there. Obviously you could tuck them away and hide them away in their cases, but they're beautiful objects and I think they deserve their space out on the wall. Now over on the other side of the room, you can see here I've got a whole bunch of stuff. First up, this big white cabinet that I've got here. This came from a office supplies company, and it's very, very heavy, extremely well made and extremely solid. Now on top of the actual cupboard itself, you can see I've got a few more accessories. First up, on the left hand side, I've got some lenses. Now on my photo channel, the Photo Hub, you can search for that or look for the link in the description. I go through all of my photography and videography equipment in great detail, so check that out. But up here you can see I've got three of my favourite lenses, the 24-70 Mark II, the Sigma 105 macro, and the 24-105 with IS. And then I've also got a Sony Bluetooth speaker and my Canon printer. Now inside the cupboard, as you can see, there is a whole bunch of junk. There is some headphones, things that I'm reviewing, boxes for phones, old docking stations. There really is a whole bunch of stuff in there. You can also see all of my cleaning equipment in there as well. Now I even did a video on how to clean all of your tech, and yet again, surprise, surprise, there'll be a link for that down in the video description. So check that out if you want to see how I keep all of my tech in such nice, clean working order. Now right at the bottom here, I've got a little bit of a station. Now on the right hand side, we've got the Synology DS1513 Plus, that's a 5-bay NAS. Got a couple of other NASs in there as well, and also I use this area for charging my batteries, both rechargeable AAs, AAAs, that kind of thing, and also the batteries for my Canon 1DC as well. Now just next to that we can take a closer look at the iMac G5 mirror, just the very front part of an iMac G5 with a mirror stuck in behind it. And then over on the wall there, just on the heater, you can see an old iBook and also an older version of the 13-inch MacBook Pro. The iBook works perfectly well, the MacBook Pro unfortunately is broken. Now here we've got what I call my 4K Hackintosh workstation. That is a Saiki 4K 39-inch screen that I use as a monitor. Below that I've got a soundbar from a Spanish company, and then the Nexus 10, the famous Nexus 10 that needs badly to be replaced by Google and hopefully will very soon. Just below it I've got the Apple wireless keyboard and mouse, and then the remote controls for the other various bits of kit as well. Now this actual desk is a desk again that you can pick up from Amazon. I'll leave a link to it down in the video description, and all I did here was actually cut part of a old blind, hang that on the front, and then it gives me a bunch of storage behind it. Now behind there I've got the bass bin for the soundbar, I've got the Xbox One and a whole bunch of other stuff as well, just to keep it kind of hidden away and nice and tidy. Now to the left of my 4K Hackintosh workstation, you can see I've got an absolute beast of a Hackintosh. Now this particular one is a Core i7 running with both Windows 8.1 and also Mac OS X as well, as part of a Hackintosh. It's got dual 7970s, Core i7 4770, running at about 3.6 gigahertz, fully water cooled, 64 gigs of RAM, and a couple of SSD drives, as well as some extra storage on SATA. Now as we take a closer look in the left hand corner, you can see my audio setup. Now over here I've got the Blue Bluebird microphone along with the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 USB interface. Now because this microphone is XLR, the interface is needed, and this is a great unit, very high quality audio and preamps, and I'd highly recommend it. Now again, I've got some drawers over here from IKEA on the left hand side, and in here I just keep little bits and pieces to keep things as organised as I possibly can. Now as we look inside the drawers themselves, I'll give you a bit of a rundown as to what I've got stored inside here. Now first up on the top, got a label printer, got a Nikon Coolpix P7700 compact camera, some little USB flash drives and SD cards, and then next up we have my famous stationery drawer, and again you can see I've just got in here kind of pens, Pritt stick, sellotape, that kind of stuff for basic office supplies. Now the next two drawers are for my headphones. First up, the V-Moda headphones, which I use for monitoring my audio, and then the actual headphones I use for listening to music and podcasts. The actual Soul ones in there, and by Ludacris, and some other in-ear headphones as well. And then the last drawer is really just for organising little bits and pieces that I put in a little silver box. Now one of my favourite things that I use for taking videos is this little tripod here, or sorry, monopod from Manfrotto. There really aren't many like this with the ball joint in the bottom. You can get some really nice pans, tilts, and you can get some nice sort of zoom in actions as well. And I think this is a very nice product, extremely well made from Manfrotto, and you've also got the ability to even hold it upside down and do kind of run and shoot type scenarios, and it also extends to about 8 feet, believe it or not. Very useful bit of kit. Not the cheapest thing in the world, but it really does put you in a good position to take video whilst on the go and get some different types of video as well whilst inside the house. Now my Mac Pro here, this is a 10 core 64 gig Mac Pro with dual D700 6GB of RAM graphics cards, and I actually had the base made with the LEDs by the same people that made my desk, and it just kind of sets it off rather than it being all sort of hidden away under the desk there. Now at this point of the video, I've switched over from my Canon 1DC camera to the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 running 4K video at 15 frames per second. So just in case you notice a kind of change in quality. And the reason for that, a big part of my setup is my camera, probably my favourite gadget, my favourite piece of tech, and you can see it here, and this is the Canon 1DC, and this is what gives me the ability to record everything in full 4K video. Not only is it a great video camera, but it also is the best DSLR on the market because it has exactly the same specifications as the Canon 1DX. Now the slider that I've got it on is called the iFootage S2 Shark slider. It's made from carbon fibre and anodized aluminium, and it really does give you an extremely smooth slide. Very well made, not as expensive as the Kessler items, but does the job equally well, and that's sitting on a Manfrotto tripod with a Manfrotto video head. Anyway guys, that is it. This is a view from another angle of the room. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this setup video. If you did, please do be sure to hit that like button. It really does help me out. Also, please do share this video if you liked it, and I will see you all in the next one. See ya. This video was sponsored by Your Company Mobiles, providing SMEs throughout the UK with mobile, landline and converged solutions. Visit www.yourcompanymobiles.com or call 0800 038 5363.